Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Fourth and goal to go with the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
All right, welcome to the Gridiron, baby. If you can give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you. If not, please go below. Hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way, next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel, description box below. I believe it might be like the very top link. Takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance. Thank you. And then finally, somewhere underneath that, it might be right under that, a couple links down below. I got all kinds of links. I got links coming out my ass, but there's another link. It takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 9,600 members in the group. It is doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I got internet access, I am putting stuff in this group during their 365. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. All right, guys. Well, woo, one day to go. Well, let's see. Oh my God. Yeah. By this time tomorrow night. Well, actually, by this time. Well, they cut everything down to, because I remember like when you used to have 15 minutes in between each pick and all that. And sometimes the first round, there was trades and this, that. And the first round would last like 7 years or whatever. But they cut the time period down in between. Thank goodness, because you don't need 15 minutes. Yeah. So they cut it down. So it is faster, but it's going to start in 21. By this time tomorrow night, we will know who the Giants are taking. Oh, man. But one thing, obviously Shane was talking about was, he has been fielding some calls, right? That is one thing he has been doing. The Browns have, the Giants have. What would it take for the Giants to accept an offer to trade back? Obviously, who's going to want to trade up? I've been hearing some things about Genty. He's like a hot commodity. This is just stuff you hear. I don't know where these guys get their info from, this, that, and the other thing. But, some teams interested in him, maybe trading, maybe like as high, maybe like the Jaguars, maybe like number 5 or whatever. But somebody might want to trade in front of them. To get him, wow, very interesting. So there's people doing some calling around, and obviously the Giants, obviously you're not going to find out who, or Shane's not going to spill the beans or nothing like that. But the Giants have been getting some calls. So same thing with the Browns. So. Where we at here? So could the Giants accept a Godfather offer to trade down from the number 3 pick? Now, the one problem here, and obviously even like with Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, like those are pretty much like the 2, right? As they say, almost blue chip. Can't miss, whatever. There's always a small, right? Anybody ever getting injured, but somebody can get injured, unfortunately, whatever. But, those are the 2, okay, that for the most part, that are like, whatever you want to say, blue chippers, can't miss. So if you're going to trade back, we've seen what the Giants have done with multiple first round picks with this regime. And the results were not super stupendous, shall we say? right? Picks 5 and pick 7. Now they did do very well last season, and that was a grand salami right there, baby. Malik Neighbors, the dog. They got a dog, right? So they did very well there. But if you do want to trade back, buyer beware. Okay. You got 2 hands, right? It's better to have one guy that, if he stays healthy, right? You just wind the mofo up, put him on the field, and we'll see you in 10 years, brother. Let's see what you got, right? Or would you rather have 2 guys, neither one's going to possibly work out anywhere near as good as him, and, you kind of hope they work out. I don't know. That's a tough one. Maybe, I guess, it all depends upon what kind of offer the Giants get. I mean, but if I'm the Giants, I'm staying put. The Giants have holes, obviously. Newsflash, right? But I mean, once again, if you get yourself another difference maker, I'm going for the difference maker. Right. Well, whether it's Hunter or Carter, I'm going for the difference maker. Give me one of them. Give me another Malik Neighbors. Right. And if we got a Malik Neighbors on offense, give me a Malik Neighbors on defense. I mean, we got a couple on defense. Let's get another one. But I mean, with Carter, okay. I mean, with Hunter, I mean, good God. I mean, the depth, the quality would add to the cornerback position. What he would do that's why I can't blame the Browns if they take him. I wouldn't blame them one frickin' bit. I wouldn't blame the Titans for taking Ward. If you think he's your guy, you take him, right? Ward. I wouldn't blame the Browns at all for taking Hunter. But I mean, to get Hunter and Malik Neighbors on the field at the same time, woo, doggy, woo, huh? Or you get Hunter out there, put like a dime package. If they're going to put, it depends how they're going to do it, right? If they're going to put 4 cornerbacks and 2 safeties, going to put 3 safeties, putting one up maybe in the box, 3 cornerbacks, whatever. But I mean, if there's ever a point in time where one of the cornerbacks is injured, it's always a possibility, right? Maybe now Hunter might be your 3rd cornerback. If you need 4 cornerbacks on the field, right? Hunter might be your 4th cornerback. Could you imagine that? The Debo, right? Phillips, Hunter, and Banks ever gets his act together? Wow. And how young that secondary would be? Wow. The problem with that secondary would be, with or without Hunter, was what Shane brought up at his press conference, was that pretty much all of those guys are all going to be up in like 3 years. So the only way that they won't be up all, right, is because I think we signed Debo for 3 years, Holland for 3 years. We got Newman for another 3 years, and we got Phillips for another 3 years. Then we have Banks for another 3 if they pick up his 5th-year option. I think interesting to see. But anyway, Giants hold the number 3 overall pick, positioning them nicely to land one of the best prospects in the class. However, that 3rd overall pick is coveted selection this offseason, with several teams clamoring to trade up in this year's draft. Now, the one thing is, right, you can where you could possibly see, right, the Giants maybe getting a nice little return on their investment, shall they say, pick 3, would be if somebody's coming up to take a quarterback. I don't know about that. I don't know if somebody's going to, mortgage their future and give up multiple 1st-round picks and this, that, and the other thing, and a bag of Doritos to move up and get Shedeur Sanders. More in a little bit. You know what I mean? So if the Giants held a real low pick, which they do, unfortunately, but and it was if this was last year's draft, okay, you can maybe up and get a little bit more of a premium because there's a good chance you're moving up to get a quarterback. That's not so much the case this year, right? If somebody's maybe moving up to get Carter, or maybe Genty, right? Maybe, you wouldn't get quite as much of a premium, right? So the Giants, once again, they move back, have to be very careful. All right, so according to ESPN's Peter Schrager, both the Browns picking second overall and the Giants picking third overall have received interest from teams looking to trade up in the draft order, which is once again kind of odd because it's not like last year's draft class where we had, 87 quarterbacks going the first round, right? So we got teams possibly wanting to move up for non-quarterbacks. Interesting. Both teams have been listening to offers, too. All right. There have been phone calls made to both the Browns and at 2 and the Giants at 3 with the intentions to move. It would be for Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, or the running back Ashton Genty. Wow. Moving up, giving up maybe a first round and maybe another first or something or whatever to get a running back. Wow. Interesting. Well, to be honest with you, if it's the Bears to move up, I could see that because they got their quarterback, they got some receivers, right? They could use if they get somebody like a Genty. That may not be bad. They'd have an exciting offense, though. Let's see. There have been teams making calls, and those teams, the Browns at 2 and the Giants at 3, are not immediately slamming down the phone. Everyone assumes it's going to be chalk, that this is going to be Cam Ward, it's going to be Travis Hunter, it's going to be Abdul Carter. Not so fast. I think the 2 spots gets very interesting if the Browns are listening to a Godfather deal for them to trade back and for someone to trade up in the top 3. The expectation is that the Giants will stick it and pick the best player available at 3rd overall. However, General Manager Joe Schoen fielding offers on the 3rd overall pick is interesting and notable. Giants seem unlikely to trade down, but could a Godfather offer convince them? While teams might be interested in trading up to the number 3 pick, it seems unlikely that the Giants will trade down for a few reasons. Mainly, they only held top 30 visits with 3 projected first-round picks. Colorado cornerback Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and Shedeur Sanders. All their other top 30 picks have been projected to be like second round and later picks. So, under Shane, New York has had a tendency to only draft players that they have met with privately. It seems unlikely that they would trade down the draft order where they would be positioned to have to draft someone who they did not have in the top 30 visit. That's an excellent point. Because I know like with Shane and Dable and all and everything, one of the things they always talk about is, that the face-to-face. You'll learn a lot about somebody. Well, could a Godfather offer convince them? Potentially, but any such deal would likely drop the Giants outside of the top 10 picks in the draft. The San Francisco 49ers picking 12 have reportedly expressed interest in trading up. Moving back with the 49ers could potentially yield an additional second-round pick in this year's draft and a future first-round pick for the Giants. A deal could be reminiscent of the one made between the Houston Texans and the Cardinals for Will Anderson Jr. during the 2023 NFL Draft. In all likelihood, the Giants will stick and pick at 3rd overall and take the best player available. Perhaps the team behind them could convince them with an undeniable trade offer, but Carter and Hunter are undeniable talents. Shane and company seem intent on landing an immediate impact star with the number 3 overall pick. Then we got the Browns and Giants fielding trade calls as NFL draft nears. Although the Titans announced Tuesday that they are not entertaining offers for this first overall pick, sources told Schrager that the Browns and the Giants have received trade calls over the last 48 hours, and that neither team is outwardly rejecting those overtures. The expectation, sources told Schrager, is that those teams looking to trade up to number 2 and 3, pursuing either Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, or Ashton Genty. All 32 NFL teams still have their original first-round pick this year, which is odd. which has seen a historic lack of trades in the lead up to the draft. With Thursday's first round, just 1 day away, is the closest to the start of a draft without any trades involving first-round picks in the common draft era since 1967. Wow. Think about that. Going back almost 60 years. And as of right now, there are no trades. Doesn't mean there won't be, but as of right now, wow. And what probably is a widely perceived as a weak quarterback draft class, the Browns and Giants, who both face uncertainty at the quarterback position, have been projected to use their first-round picks to address other needs. Mel Kiper Jr. predicted Cleveland to select Hunter at 2 and the Giants to take Carter at 3. He's got then he has the Raiders taking Genti at 6 in his latest mock draft. ESPN Jordan Reed made identical predictions for all three in his latest mock draft. Hunter, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, played a combined 1,481 snaps on offense and defense his last season at Colorado. Almost 1,500 snaps. Holy crap. Nearly 300 more than any player in the FBS. Wow. The current betting favorite to be selected by the Browns is the number 2 pick. Hunter has said he hopes to continue playing both offense and defense in the NFL. So that's one of the things you have to wind up waiting and seeing. But though Cleveland and New York both already boast a strong pass rush, they have been linked to Carter as well after the former Penn State Stars breakout 2024 campaign. So, once again, the Giants, and it might be like a twofold thing or whatever you want to call it, for the Giants, because what they do wind up having, is, and they still have not mentioned about picking up Kayvon's 5th-year option. Now, once again, that's going to be very, very interesting, and it might possibly be. They're going to be waiting till after the draft to talk about that, if they pick up his 5th-year option or not. Because if they get Carter, right, they know they got Bernsey for 3 more years. They got Carter. They'll get Carter for 4, and probably if they pick up his 5th-year option for 5 more years, right? So they might have, because Carter's going to cost them about $8 million at pick 3, right around there. So they have Carter costing them $8 million. They're going to have Bernsey costing them almost $30 million. And then if they pick up Kayvon's 5th-year option, I don't know what that would cost. I know Evan Neal's 5th-year option is about $16.5 million. Kayvon's would be more than that. Okay. So if they were to pick up his 5th-year option next season, right? In just those 3 edge rushers, they'll be paying what, about $38, $48, $55 million or so between like the 3, so. And then the thing is, if you pick up his 5th-year option, does that make you where you have to wind up, maybe trying to re-sign the guy? And then what's he going to want per season? All right, he's not getting Garrett money. He ain't getting no $40 million a season. But, he's going to want probably 20, 25, somewhere around there. Is that something the Giants want to do? Or could they replace him with maybe Carter? Right? If Carter can get better results, right? That way you say bye-bye to Kayvon. I would hate that. Because now you got all these good pass rushers, but you can say bye-bye to Kayvon, right? And save yourself some money there. And now you still have 2 really good edge rushers. So it'll be very, very interesting to see. All right, but one thing here, I saw this. Mr. Stafford tells the truth about his Giants saga, right? Well, apparently, I guess it all came down to, I always wanted to be in L.A. Well, you always say those things after, after the, after all the dust settles and you sign on a dotted line. I always wanted to be here. I love L.A., But that's apparently not like according to what his wife was saying. She was posting stuff like, maybe we need a fresh start, or we can go someplace else, or, it's nice to be welcome where you something, whatever, it's so after everything's all said and done, I mean, like, you always say nice things about the team that signed you, right? So, but according to Matthew Stafford reveals the truth about his Giants flirtation during the offseason trade saga. Once again, it was Los Angeles all along for Matthew Stafford. Well, the Giants did offer him some money, that's for sure, and he turned it down. Speaking to reporters Monday following an eventful offseason in which the Giants and Raiders heavily pursued him before he re-upped with the Rams, the 37-year-old quarterback revealed he never really wanted to leave the team he's called home since 2021. Okay. There are so many positive things about our organization and about our team. I never really wanted to leave. I'm just happy to be back and happy that the Rams want me back. We can move forward and hopefully have a great season, Stafford said on the first day of the team's offseason program, according to Pro Football Talk. Coming off a 10-7 regular season and divisional round playoff appearance, Los Angeles fell to the eventual Super Bowl Philadelphia Void years in a close game. That was by the closest game that the Philadelphia Void years had in the playoffs. So the Rams gave him a good run for the money. Stafford entered an offseason with plenty of questions about the future and whether it would include another run with the Rams. The Rams granted their Super Bowl winning quarterback permission to speak with other clubs about his value in February. That same month, it was reported Stafford was seeking a new deal in the $50 million per season ballpark. And I swore that's about what the Giants gave him, right? Or coming close. Although conversations were had with the Raiders and the Giants, a resolution came in late February with the Rams, and Stafford agreed to continue their union on a revised contract. Giants had discussed a deal between $90 and $100 million, Paul Schwartz confirmed at the time. I'm thinking that's 2 years. Stafford, who has made LA his home base with his wife Kelly and their 4 daughters, said Monday, wanting to be back with the Rams was my number one priority. I think the longer that I'm in the game and the longer that I'm playing football, there's an understanding between myself and the organization on what we want that to look like and what we want that to be. That has been great communication-wise with those guys, he said. This isn't the first time Stafford's lauded Rams brass over how the situation played out. Head coach Sean McVay, an integral part of the bringing Stafford to the Rams in 2021 following the blockbuster trade with the Lions, right? The Goff-Stafford deal, right? Had great communication with the team's quarterback one throughout the process. We had grown-up conversations because he and I known each other and gone through a lot together. So all that was a positive and good in the end, especially getting to the point where I know that I'm extremely excited to be back. I know Kelly is extremely excited to be back. Well, yeah, that's not all. Yeah, some of the stuff seemed like she was posting, right, on social media was not all roses and sunshine, shall we say, about the Rams organization. Sounds like, so, once again, all this stuff you don't know. What was going on? Did he go out there and he's trying to drum up some business and the Rams like, oh man, he got some teams interested. We better we better do something, because to be honest, I mean the Rams ain't going nowhere if they ain't got Stafford. They would have to try to draft the quarterback this season and try to make that work out. Now McVay's I'm sure can do some nice things with a new quarterback, but Matthew Stafford, if they keep him upright, if they can keep him healthy, obviously he's the man you certainly want to obviously have. So, but once again, I mean, all that he could have been, just using the Giants and any other team that wanted to give him an offer, to see if he can up, what the Rams are going to offer him. So, but the thing is that you figure it's the same thing with Russell Wilson, the same thing with Jameson Winston. If they did get Stafford, how long would he be here for? Be here for just a couple of seasons. Even if they got Stafford here, I mean, $40 to $50 million. Now, obviously, this season here, he wouldn't be making 40 or 50. They would somehow give him a signing bonus, spread it out over a couple of years. And so his cap hit this season wouldn't be 40 or 50, might be a little under 40. But still, that'd be a large chunk of money, right, out of their salary cap. And, with Stafford, if everything went well, if everybody was able to stay healthy and all of that stuff, I still don't see the Giants going to no Super Bowl or nothing like that. And, he's not the long-term answer, right? The Giants need to draft a quarterback. Hopefully in this upcoming draft, that maybe they can work with. The thing is it's going to be, does this regime draft a quarterback? If they do, does this regime or, whatever, make it to next season? Right? Because, if they don't make it the next season, they're going to have a quarterback on the roster that they drafted, say, in the second round, right? New, maybe GM, new coach, whoever's going to come in and say, hey, by the way, Jalen Milroe's your quarterback for the future. And the coach might be like, that ain't my quarterback. We need another, so. Well, we're going to find out. One interesting thing, right, is that, as I was saying about this the other night, how this draft here, okay, feels different than last year's draft, right? Last year's draft, there was a lot of quarterbacks, but a lot of them went early, all right? So it almost kind of made it where the Giants really couldn't maybe trade back into the first round. Plus, also last season, the Giants were rolling the dice with Daniel Jones. He's our quarterback at the beginning of the season. He's our quarterback, right? So we're not necessarily looking for a quarterback. This season, they are looking for a quarterback. Now, last year, they drafted early at 6, right? This year, they're drafting even earlier at 3. But this season, you kind of get the feeling that there's a possibility that they might trade. Guys, it was like after it was like last year, after they took Malik at number 6, I watched the rest of the first round. But I never really got a feeling, any type of a gut feeling the Giants could trade back into the first round for somebody. It was just kind of like, that's cool. And then by the time, all 800 quarterbacks in the first round were off the board in the first 10 picks. It was kind of like, I'll just sit here and I'll watch the rest of the first round, and I'll be getting ready for Friday. When round 2 comes around, we'll see what the Giants do around. This season to watch, this draft to watch all the way to the end. It's always like, are they going to pull the trigger? Jump back into the first round? If Milroe's still there, is Dart still there? Jump in front of maybe the Steelers or something like that. So this draft definitely has a different feel to it, without question. If the Giants can get like a blue chip player like Carter and then possibly get their quarterback in the future, wherever that is, right? This would be a real successful draft, I think, for the Giants. But the Giants were trying to knock it right out of the park to open up the festivities, shall we say. So the Giants obviously were trying to call. They tried. They tried last year with the Patriots, and the same thing. I don't blame the Patriots at all. They thought, that they could maybe pick up May, right? If the Giants offered them 3 first-rounders and maybe something else, maybe the Patriots might have considered doing something, but but same thing with the Titans. If the Titans really think, right, that Ward's the guy, you got to take him. You really got. Unless you're totally blown out of the water by, somebody's trade offer. But if I'm them, I'm staying put. If you need a quarterback, if you think Ward's the quarterback of the future, you got to take him. Absolutely got to take him. But so the Giants did try. Now, I got a couple of reports here. The Giants' partial trade offer to the Titans for the number 1 pick is revealed. The Giants tried, but once again, they were rebuked in an attempt to move up in the draft. Giants said just can't seem to do it. And I don't even know. I mean, like last year, they didn't have a chance in HEL double hockey sticks and trading with the Commanders last season. I mean, you saw how things worked out for Daniels. I mean, could you imagine? How pissed off the Commanders would be if the Giants traded up and got Daniels? Could you imagine? That guy looks like he's going to be special talent. The only thing that pisses me off is that we got to play the dude 2 times for the next however many seasons. But you can see, I mean, that guy looks like a real special talent. It's unknown just how much General Manager Joe Schoen was willing to give up besides a third, and of course the team's 3rd overall pick this year, for the right to move up, where the team presumably would have selected Miami Cam Ward. But clearly, as was the case last year when Schoen tried to trade up with the Patriots only to be rebuked, the Titans are looking for a historic haul to pass on the ability to select Ward 1st overall. Once again, I don't blame them. Giants and Schoen aren't quite in a position where they can mortgage future picks, including potential future first-round picks. Because one of the things, too, is that you always got to think, Shane's trying to do what's obviously best for the team, right? Now, so you got to think, and his job is possibly on the line. So you got 2 things here, right? Is he going to do what's best for the team this year and going forward if he's not here? Or if he's trying to do the best for the Joe Schoen Giants, right? And if he was to just mortgage a whole bunch of first-round draft picks for a quarterback, right? Don't know how that well would work out. So it's always a little tricky there with him. Is he trying to do what's best, obviously, for him, the Giants, especially for him to save his job, or is he, if he's like, well, if I get fired at the end of the season, I want to make sure I get a nice, good draft for the next guys coming in here, moving forward. I want to leave the team in a better position than when I took over, right? So that's always something to keep in mind. That said, there continue to be reports of the Giants, who at number 3 are thought to be planning on selecting whichever Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter is on the board. They want to trade back into the bottom of the 1st round with an eye on getting past Pittsburgh, which is also in need of a quarterback. I think Pittsburgh is like 20th, I think it is. However, as previously reported, the Giants potentially face an uphill battle to accomplish even that. The Browns, who have draft capital similar to the Giants and need a quarterback, could spark a bidding war to move up to number 20. Okay, so the Steelers, I guess, are number 21. So the Giants and whoever it is to move up in front of the Steelers would have to go from Giants got the 34th pick, and the Browns got the pick 33. So whatever it would take to jump up to number 20, maybe get in front of the Steelers. Of course, the question remains how much Schoen would be willing to give up to get back into the bottom of the 1st round, assuming the team has any first-round grades on the quarterbacks that will remain after Ward is off the board. And Giants trying to trade up into round 1 for a quarterback. Let's say the expected happens with the first 2 picks Thursday. Cam Ward to the Titans and wide receiver Travis Hunter to the Browns. That would leave the Giants choosing between edge rusher Abdul Carter and Sanders at number 3. And if they're going with the best player available route, Carter will be the choice. So the Giants absolutely could trade up from number 34, the 2nd round pick, to get a quarterback later in round 1. The Saints at number 9 could be landing spot for Sanders. Well, let's not forget, the history, it's got nothing to do with what they're doing now. But the Saints, unbelievable as this is, have not drafted a quarterback in the 1st round since Archie Manning, a.k.a. Peyton Manning, a.k.a. Eli Manning, right? Archie Manning, right, since in 1971. So we're going over 50 years ago since the last time the Saints drafted a quarterback in the 1st round. Ditto for the Steelers at number 21. Don't rule out the Rams taking a quarterback at 26 either. I mean, be perfect if they think whatever. If they think Milrose or Dart, draft him, let him sit a year or two behind Stafford. Right? And remember, the Browns have the first pick in the second round, one spot ahead of the Giants. So there's a good chance no matter what. I mean, there's a real good chance the Giants, if they really want a quarterback, are going to have to do something about maybe jumping in front of the Browns. Possibly. Other than Ward and Sanders, the quarterbacks who could go in round 1 or earlier in round 2 are Tyler Shaw, Jalen Milroe, and Jackson Dart. Bottom line, the Giants can't bank on getting their guy at number 34. Too many, a lot of teams in front of them, especially the one team right in front of them, the Browns. But what would be interesting, though, very, very interesting, right? Now, there ain't much love between Philadelphia and the Eagles, right? I don't know. Like if Shane picked the phone up and you jump in front of the Browns, right, would be number 32, which would be the Eagles. Would Howie Roseman pick the phone up and agree to a deal with the Giants to get a quarterback? Somebody might come in and kick the Eagles' butt for quite a few years. That would be interesting. Now the Eagles obviously and the Cowboys made a trade that would cause the Andrew Toney debacle, right? A few years ago when they got Devontae Smith, but the Eagles jumped over the Giants and traded with the Cowboys, but that wasn't for a quarterback. That was for a wide receiver. That was a very good move on the Eagles' part, without question. But that was a wide receiver. This is a quarterback. That will be interesting. Very, very interesting. But I mean, now all you got to do is, I mean, if the Eagles are coming up, and the nice thing about that, or you might have to maybe pick up the phone and talk to Andy Reid or the Chiefs. Right, because another conference, right? They might have a little more love for the Giants, right? Because if you can jump back into the first round, right, you have the guy for 5 years, if he makes it that far, right? 5 years, a quarterback for 5 years, right? That's ideal. So yes, they are already angling for a possible trade-up move into the bottom of round 1. Sources say the Browns and the Giants, who own the first 2 picks of the second round, are in trade talks with teams at the back end of the first round. Because I mean, obviously, you don't going to be a rocket scientist to figure it out, right? I mean, you gotta have all your conversations down and all of that. You can't be, you can't get to the end of the first round. The Chiefs are on the board, and it's like, oh my God, let me start making some phone calls. No, I mean, obviously, you got to have all this stuff down. All these scenarios down and everything, right? So if either team trades up, the expectation is that would be to select a quarterback. So once again, with the Eagles, if the Giants, would call the Eagles, would Howie Roseman would say, yeah, we'll trade with you. So you can jump ahead of the Browns, trade with us, we'll flip-flop with it, and you can draft yourself a quarterback of the future. I don't know if the Eagles would do that. This sort of move would make perfect, reasonable sense. Giants indeed pass on Sanders at number 3. Joe Schoen, the Giants' hot seat 4th year general manager, would be foolish not to explore it. A spot to watch for a trade-up move is number 20 with Denver. They don't need a quarterback, right? One position ahead of the Steelers. The Broncos picked their franchise quarterback, Bo Nix, last year. See how well it worked out. I mean, it is amazing. I mean, this is where you really want to just start kicking yourself. I mean, obviously hindsight's always 20/20. Why didn't you pick that guy? Why didn't you pick? It's always hindsight. It's always 20/20, right? But it is amazing. I mean, some of these quarterbacks really. I mean, we didn't see JJ, right, with Minnesota, but these quarterbacks looked pretty good last year, didn't they? Oh, the Giants need to draft a quarterback, and they're going to get Sanders. You got to pick a Sanders at number 3. Sanders at 3. Well, we're going to find out, brother. We're going to find out. But I mean, they talked about last year as being a good quarterback class, and I'll tell you what, they weren't BSing. And some of these guys really look good last year. It's possible Sanders will be gone by then. Meaning they're talking about his article, him getting up to where the Steelers are at. I don't know if he gets that far. So quite possibly, maybe the Saints might take Sanders at number 9. But Shaw, Milroe, and Dart could all be available at number 20. Still, with the Browns also exploring a trade-up deal after presumably grabbing Hunter at number 2, the Giants will have competition. Absolutely. So it's good. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. To see, who trades up, right? Because if you look at the NFL draft chart, each position, each pick has a numeric value next to it. The Giants really could trade up. They get pick number 30, their second round pick number 34, and pick number 65, which is the first pick in the third round. They could couple those 2 picks up and move up darn near almost according to the draft chart, right? The grading, right? They might have to throw maybe a little something else in, maybe a later round pick or what, But as far as, they could probably move up almost to number 20, according to the chart. I did a video on this a couple weeks ago, but by giving up pick number 34 and 65, right? So they could move up pretty far into the first round, back into the first round with those 2 picks, and they would still have a third round selection, right? They move up, maybe get Carter. They can get their quarterback of the future, and they would still have a third round pick and a fourth round pick and a fifth round pick and then 2 seventh round picks. So they can get Carter and a quarterback of the future. I really dig it. The Giants don't draft the quarterback, then the Giants want to lose that one. Well, they got to do something. They certainly got to do something. It's going to be very interesting to see. Very interesting to see. It is very important to give us, we, future, hope for the future, right? I mean, because after this is over with, if we're all just sitting here after the draft's over, and it's like, we didn't draft the quarterback. What are we doing? What's going on with that quarterback for the future? We got Wilson this year. We got Winston this year, next year. I mean, it's like, it's like when we got Eli, right? Or when you draft a quarterback, really high, that's your spark, your excitement. We stunk last year, we stunk 2 years ago, but we got Sanders. Let's see what we got, right? I mean, you got to get some excitement going there, right? So, I mean, if and when they take a quarterback, it's gonna be very, very interesting to see what they do. Very, very interesting. It's gonna very, very, first couple rounds is gonna be very, very interesting. It'll be a very exciting draft, and also I'm very excited. Hoping Shane can hit it out of the park once again, like he did last season, because he really did a good job at drafting last year. Because once again, if he could do the same thing, man, that would be awesome. Yeah, I see this. Some guys are changing their numbers, right? And then, of course, then we got all the free agents who coming in, getting all different numbers, right? But we got Banks, Newman, and Slayton all changing their numbers. Now, of course, Banks changed his number. We got this article. I'll read this here, right? So Slayton, Newman, and Banks change numbers, and free agents get their numbers. So there will be some new numbers and some new faces when the Giants take the field in 2025. There always is. There's always about a 40% turnover, somewhere around there. The team announced jersey numbers as players reported to their lockers at the Quest Diagnostic Training Center for the start of the offseason workout program. The next 9 weeks will involve from strength and conditioning to installation and ultimately practices. Below are the numbers you will see along the way for new players and returning ones who made a switch. Jersey numbers are always subject to change. Well, so we got Wilson, right, who has number 3, right? So then we got, all right, so we got all the new ones, right? So we got Javon Holland is now, I guess you can call Javon Holland, right? Daniel Jones, because he has number 8. Jameson Winston is number 19. Paulson Adebo is 21. Nick Jones is number 31. Demetrius Flanagan Fowles is 44. Chris Board is 49. James Hudson III is 55. Oh, Victor Dimukeji is 52. Chauncey Golston is 57. Stone Forsythe is 70. Montrell Washington is 80. Lil Jordan Humphrey is 81. Zach Pascal is 83. Jeremiah Ledbetter is 96. And Roy Robertson Harris is number 99. Old names, but new numbers. Tay Banks, right, was 3, but Wilson is 3 now. Wilson, he gave up 3. So Tay Banks is number 2. Darius Slayton was 86. Now he's number 18. Now, 80, nobody else took 86, but he's number 18. Tyler Newman was 31, but now he's 27. 31. Nick Jones, the cornerback who came in from the Chiefs, he's 31 now. So Tyler Newman is number 27. And let's see here. Giants reveal new numbers for veterans and offseason acquisitions. Let's see here. Whoops. New York will have a few more jersey numbers to announce after the NFL draft. Right. But the Giants revealed their new numbers for their veterans and offseason acquisitions on Tuesday. Yeah, so we're going to have 8 more, right? Right, because we got somebody in every round but the 6th round. So I figure we got 2 third-round picks. We got a compensatory third-round pick, right? So we got a first, we got a second, we got 2 thirds, we got a fourth, we got a 5th, and we got 2 7ths, right? So let's, once again, let's not forget, right? What anyone Milosal didn't do too bad, right? But last season, his first 5 rounds, right, with Malik Neighbors, right? We got Newman, we got Phillips, we got Theo Johnson, and we got Tyrone Tracy Jr. Now, those guys in the first 5 rounds did a very good job. And in this season here, we're going to have 6 picks in the first 5 rounds. We got 5 picks in the first 105 picks. We have almost 5 picks in the first 100 players. So let's hope, let's keep our fingers crossed that we can do as well this season as we did last season. Newman spoke on Monday about how his change from 31 to 27 is meaningful as a tribute to his uncle who passed away. So 27 actually started originally with my uncle, Uncle Steve, Newman said. He actually played cornerback at the University of Michigan opposite of Charles Woodson in college back in 94. Wow. He passed away 10 to 12 years ago. That's really important to me. Wow. That's impressive. He actually, and my dad and his other brother, they also wore 27 in college too, and they didn't even plan it. They all went to 3 different colleges and all ended up picking 27. It's kind of like a family number. It's an honor to be able to bring it to the NFL for the first time. So true. So true. And then we got Slayton will also get a refurbished number for his 3rd stint with New York. And it's notable that Banks gave his number to Wilson, who was happy to shout him out on social media. For now, the digit the New York faithful have to worry about is number 1, stitched onto their blue jersey to be held in Green Bay on Thursday. So we'll have to wait and see. But of course, And then, of course, then you always wind up having after that, you know, you got to fill out the 90-man roster. So we got a ton of more guys coming in. So, and as always, the roster's now is always fluid. It's always, this guy came in, that guy left. It's always. Let's see. Do you think we're going to trade Tibbs? Well, I mean, that's another thing. I've been seeing that too. That's quite a possibility. Now I have to wait and see. I'm sure that they're going to wait and see if they wind up taking Carter first. But then, Kayvon, is might be expendable then. Absolutely. And I said, I'm really anxious to see if they wind up picking up his fifth-year option or not. I'm not so sure that they're going to wind up doing that. They're going to wait till after the draft's over and see if they pick up his fifth-year option or if they pick up Evan Neal's fifth-year option, right? But, Kayvon certainly is a trade. If they don't plan on keeping him, that may not be the worst way to go because, you can lose him in free agency and hopefully maybe get a compensatory pick for him, hopefully, right? But there's no guarantee. You lose Kayvon, but if you pick up a couple other guys in free agency, they might wipe all these guys out. So, but if they do trade Kayvon in maybe in a draft, right? That way you get maybe may not get a pick this season for him, but maybe you get something next year or whatever. But I'm sure they would, if they're going to get rid of him or not resign, I'm sure they would rather get something for him in return than just let the guy go in free agency. So that's something to keep an eye on as well, too. Sanders to the Giants. Oh, so we got two guys here. Sanders to the Giants. Sanders, we're going to find out less than 24 hours. But saying Sanders to the Giants, these are the reports I say. This is all I say. This is all I say. I don't write these up or not like that. I just seen this. This one article I saw. Was it just one? I think it was just one. Coach Brian Dable is not a Shedeur Sanders guy. And, well, I got a couple things here on Shedeur, actually. So, once again, this is all, I ain't no draft guru. I just read what these other people got to say here. So this article here, this is from Big Blue View. Brian Dable is not a Shedeur Sanders guy. It looks like by Todd McShay. All right. And then, of course, they also, what you're talking about, Giants could use Kayvon as trade bait to go get the quarterback Dable wants. So, they could obviously maybe, instead of giving up trading picks, you trade maybe your second round pick and maybe Kayvon or something like that and jump back into the first round, right? The only thing is the buyer's going to have to beware with Kayvon because, he'll be on the cheap this season, right? But, if you trade for the guy, you're almost on the hook to make some kind of sign of some kind of a deal, So he's gonna want to get paid. So you're gonna if they trade Kayvon, right? The team who gets Kayvon is gonna have to ante up some money to get the guy in the future. So that was like us when we traded away some draft capital for Leo, right? Leonard Williams, right? We traded away some draft capital to get him. Right, we had him, and then we had, we were really pressured to sign him. Well, it's like, what did you trade draft picks in the middle of the season? Why did you trade draft picks for him to get him in the middle of the season if you weren't going to sign him next year? So the Giants were on a lot of pressure to sign Leonard Williams. So it's the same thing with Kayvon. If somebody trades and gets him in a trade, they're pretty pressured to sign the guy. So we got the Giants coach, Brian Dable, is not a Shedeur Sanders guy, and the Giants could use Kayvon as part of a trade package to land the quarterback Dable may prefer, according to Todd McShay of The Ringer. So, this is from Todd McShay. The possibility of trading Kayvon should be the Giants, as expected, draft Penn State edge defender Abdul Carter with the number 3 overall pick, and has been a discussion point. McShay has fanned the flames. Something big is coming down the pipes, McShay said Wednesday on his podcast, though he indicated he wasn't sure what exactly that would be. If it is the Giants moving back into round 1 for a quarterback, McShay said the trade package could begin with the 24-year-old Kayvon, the number 5 overall pick in the 2022 NFL draft, who is now entering his 4th season. McShay said that he believes the Giants head coach Brian Dable has identified the quarterback he wants, and that I know it's not Shedeur Sanders. So somehow, Todd McShay, he says, I know, he says. How that is, I don't know. He said, I know it's not Shedeur Sanders. Dable is not a Shedeur guy, and Dable prefers Jackson Dart, McShay said. I don't know to what level, though. There's speculation in league circles that there's a push for Dable to use the Giants' first pick on the quarterback. McShay has Dart as quarterback number 2 ahead of Sanders on his final board. He believes the Giants would be correct to let Dable identify the quarterback he wants to work with, because the Giants coach is one of the skilled elite when it comes to understanding the quarterback position. I mean, look what he did with Josh Allen. I mean, obviously Josh Allen had a lot to do with his success, but, Dable helped him, right? In this draft, though, McShay does not believe the Giants can get Dable as quarterback at number 3. I love Brian. I just told you how much I appreciate and respect him. I don't let the coach make the decision on when we're going to take him. Dart, if he is the target, McShay said. This is why the GM has to make this decision, because you don't take Jackson Dart at 3, and why you don't take Dart at 3, even if you love him, because Abdul Carter is sitting there. At that point, McShay said, it would be on general manager Joe Schoen to figure out how I go get him. Well, that's what Schoen makes the big bucks for. I've got Kayvon, by the way, who we're not sure we want to sign him. We haven't done the 5th-year deal, McShay said. I've actually heard one potential scenario is that you take Abdul Carter, number 3, and use Kayvon as a part of a package to then move back into the first round to go get Jackson Dart. In his view, McShay said the Giants can't trade down from number 3 with the expectation, hope of landing their quarterback. You can't move back, because if you move back, then it might signal, they're going to take Dart there, and maybe it tips New Orleans, and New Orleans goes a couple of spots and go get Dart, and you wake up Friday morning and you're like, I don't get Abdul Carter, and I don't have Jackson Dart. That's a fail. Let's see what we got here. There's the other one here too. Giants rumors now include blunt assessment of Shedeur Sanders. New York has long been pegged as the destination for Sanders. This is from Athlon Sports. This is from Mike Fisher. I don't know whoever he is. And Dion and Shedeur have pushed the idea. Pittsburgh's been cited too, but now there's a problem. Defenders of Shedeur Sanders think critics are piling on. Could be, or maybe talent evaluators simply don't view him as highly as he views himself. Case in point, the Giants are days away from making the biggest decision of their offseason, and they've taken a deep look at Colorado Shedeur Sanders. General Manager Joe Schoen has been adamant in insisting that the team will not force a quarterback that high just for the sake of taking. An opinion that seems to mesh just fine with what his head coach Brian Dable thinks of Shedeur. On Monday, draft guru Todd McShay hinted at the Giants coaching staff having pitched its view to the front office. The coaching staff, obviously headed by Dable, the head coach, is anti-taking Shedeur at number 3, McShay said. Is that a problem inside the building? Maybe. Is that going to be a problem with Dion, Coach Prime, Shedeur's dad, and coach at Colorado University if he gets wind of it? Well, you can bet on it. And now there's more. Pete Prisco of CBS Sports published what Prisco called a who they should take mock draft. Sanders didn't make it into the first round at all. Wow. I don't see him as a first-round pick, Prisco declared of Sanders. I just don't. New York has long been pegged as the destination for Sanders, and Dion and Shedeur have pushed the idea. At the same time, Dion has also just suggested that any criticism of his son is nothing but persecution because our last name is Sanders. Fact is, the Giants coach's job isn't to fall in love with the cult of celebrity. The club has already finalized the signing of veteran quarterbacks Russell Wilson and Jameson Winston. Is that a done deal? No. Shedeur to New York? No, not quite. There's still a little push from the personnel department, McShay said. I can't say individually who it is, but apparently someone on that side or multiple people on that side are more, let's say, really considering Shedeur at number 3. So there's some people don't want him at number 3. Some people do want him at number 3. But ultimately, it's Joe Schoen to make the decision, right? That sounds like confirmation of our report that there was a conflict in the building over what to do at number 3, and the clock is ticking. So once again, that's that's why Shane makes the big bucks. Right? He's got to make that decision. Right now, there's one thing here that I saw. This was maybe quite possibly one of the reasons why they had another private workout with them, right? Because sometimes what Shane says, right, and I've heard other GMs talking on podcasts and stuff, is when you're sitting down with somebody or you got a private workout with somebody, right? Sometimes it's not to see if they're good for your team or you want to pick them, right? Or they're the right guy or whatever. Sometimes it's to cross them off your board. You want to, you got, when you're picking this high and trying to pick a quarterback, you got to make the right pick, right? So they cross their T's and dot their I's. They're trying to come up with every scenario, right? They want to, they saw him at the pro day. Shane's seen him before. At his pro day, they had a private workout with him. They talked to him a ton of times, and all that. But sometimes they're doing a due diligence. But apparently, according to this one article here, is that not only Shedeur, but a few of these guys were not. Shedeur, Sanders, Milroe, and Shaw's giant workouts reportedly didn't seal a decision. Tyler Shaw. The Giants reportedly didn't reach a conclusion after holding workouts with a trio of top quarterback prospects just a week before the 2025 NFL Draft. The Athletic's Diana Rossini reported that while the Giants made waves last week by scheduling a last-minute private workouts with Shedeur Sanders, Alabama's Jalen Milroe and Louisville's Tyler Shaw told those workouts didn't necessarily seal any decisions. Rossini added that it's clear New York is doing its homework and explained that the team is preparing for multiple scenarios. The team had Sanders ranked as its number 1 quarterback heading into the combine, but things have since shifted, Rossini stated. For now, I'm told that they want to be ready for anything, including the possibility of drafting a non-quarterback at number 3 and then trading back into the first round later to grab their guy at quarterback. B&R's NFL scouting department predicted in this mock draft that the Giants would select Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter, number 3, and then grab Milroe with the number 34 pick after signing veteran quarterback Russell Wilson and Jameson Winston this offseason. New York can afford to take a chance on a rookie and have him develop behind two giant, between Wilson and Winston. Giant fans will be anxious to see how things play out when the 2025 draft kicks off on Thursday. But you'll notice here, right? They said the workouts between the Louisville quarterback, the Alabama quarterback, and Colorado quarterback, I'm told those workouts didn't necessarily seal any decisions. So, but they didn't talk about Dart, right? Because obviously we know Cam Ward is long off the board, right? But they weren't talking about Dart. So that's somebody we're going to keep an eye on. Now, once again, this is stuff people are hearing, and we'll have to wait and see. Once again, anything's possible, right? No, it's going to be, after the Giants pick at 3, right? Whatever you got to do, you're going to grab a sandwich, go to the bathroom, whatever. Come on back, get ready, get your popcorn ready, because you want to hang in there for the whole rest of the first round, right? Because where do these quarterbacks go? Where does Schrager make it to the Saints? The Saints does somebody jump into the teens and grab one of these quarterbacks? Do the Steelers take a quarterback? Do the Rams take a quarterback? Then if any of those guys get back into the 20s, right? Or if there's one of them left, right? All of a sudden, say Milrose's gone, Sanders gone. Of course, Cam Ward's long gone. You got Dart on the board, and he's at number 24. Does somebody want to jump in front of the Rams to grab him? Does he make it past the Rams? Right? Does he make it to 27, 20? He got a quarterback. Quite possibly, maybe, this is what these guys think, right? Not me. But one of these guys are high on Dart. They're gonna. I can't see him sitting. Dart will fall to us. Yeah, we'll just wait here at 34, and he'll fall to us, and we'll hold hands and sing Kumbaya, and we'll have Dart. No, you have to go and get him. So, it's going to be very interesting draft. Very interesting draft, because after they pick at 3, anything can happen. I'm not saying the Giants are jumping back into the top 10, but, they certainly could, as I said, if you look at the NFL draft chart, each position is assigned like a certain value. If they pick 34 and 65, and you took the value of those 2 picks, they can almost literally jump back to like about number 20, which is right in front of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I said, and that would still give the Giants, that would give them possibly their quarterback of the future. Maybe they would have Carter, quarterback of the future, and they would still have a 3rd-round pick and a 4th-round pick. So it would be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting draft. So it has a different feel than it did last year. Last year they took Malik, and it was kind of like, okay, if last season, if these quarterbacks started making it into the late teens and the 20s, that didn't happen. They were getting snatched up left and right. It was like they're going out of style, right? The quarterback, the Falcons took a quarterback. They just signed Kirk Cousins to a $300 trillion deal, right? And they took a quarterback. So it was like they were getting scoffed up. So none of them last year, really made it that far. So after first 10, 15 last year, with all the quarterbacks almost like gone, it was kind of like, the first round, it wasn't over, but pretty much for the Giants, it was. I really didn't see them jumping back in the first round for anything. But this season is certainly definitely different. Definitely different. Has a different feel to it. If I can find, there we go. This one I like. I like this one. This is Abdul goes straight up anti-Saquon, right? Saquon now, of course, because Saquon was born and raised in Pennsylvania, right? So, that was one of the things that Howie Roseman, obviously, and he went to Penn State. So Howie Roseman, one of the things that, when he talked to Saquon, he picked the phone up and said, hey, you want to come home? It's kind of gave him the home feel. And, we'll welcome you with open arms and all that stuff and everything. If you want to leave, we'll sign you. Right? Well, you want to come home, right? But apparently, good old Abdul doesn't quite think that way, right? There's a little anti-Saquon here. He's not picking on Saquon, but said Abdul Carter goes full anti-Saquon while dropping a major draft hint. So, and I think is gonna how it's gonna work out. Lambeau Field might be 990 miles from MetLife Stadium, but Abdul Carter sounded like a guy who's already home. Penn State edge rusher and Philly native was asked by Ryan Novozinski of NJ Advanced Media how he'd handle getting drafted by the Giants, his childhood team's bitter rival. Without skipping a beat, he delivered the kind of line he can instantly win over a fan base and turn heads in New York. Once I go to New York, I'm all New York, Carter said. I'm going to have to leave Philly behind. Yeah, I like to hear that. First, wow, what a draft nugget. Tell us you're getting drafted by the Giants without telling us. Second, after the sting of losing Saquon to the Eagles just one offseason ago, that quote hit like a cold drink on a hot day. In fact, Carter's mindset feels like the anti-Saquon, putting Philly in the rear view and looking forward to New York. Abdul Carter will have Giant fans running through a wall. Giants fans are still sore about Saquon's leaving. Yep. The franchise's icon exit will be talked about for, they got decades here. I'll say centuries. Yeah. He joined the Eagles and then ran for over 2,000 yards, right? All that the season. Fans booed, tweeted, debated, and ultimately watched their favorite player put on one of the greatest seasons the NFL has ever seen. It was a constant slap in the face. Now, Giants are staring at a potential pick who's not only elite on the field, but willing to switch fandom allegiances off it to give New York everything he has and more. Carter didn't hide his excitement about a possible Giants future. It'll be a blessing to play with those guys, he said, referencing Brian Burns and Kayvon. I'm going to come compete and we'll form the best pass rush in the league. Best in the league, you say? Sort of like when Lawrence Taylor was around. It's not like Carter posted a social media picture of him while visiting the Giants facility or anything like that. There was. He posted something and he had a picture of Lawrence Taylor there. Right? He wants New York. He wants to follow in Taylor's footsteps. He wants to be the reason championships are won. That's great news because in the eyes of many, he should be the number 3 overall pick. And the Eagles have never had anything even remotely close to a Lawrence Taylor. I mean, as far as a linebacker, they've had Reggie White, but as far as a linebacker, nothing even close. Giants have a decision to make Thursday night. Travis Hunter, if he's around, and Shedeur Sanders, if he's also around, remain options. But Carter, he's ready for the Big Apple. Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, 12 sacks, consensus All-American, the second highest pass rush grade in the country, a ceiling some scouts believe is the highest in the draft. Now, let's not also forget, too, right, is that, his first 2 seasons, okay, with Penn State, he was kind of like an off-ball linebacker, right? This past season was his first year as a defensive end, edge rusher, whatever you want to call him. It was his first season, right? So, he chances are, the needle's pointing up, right, on him. When asked about fitting into a crowded edge room, Carter didn't flinch. You're never going to have enough pass rushers. You got that right, brother. That's how championships are won. He's not wrong. Philly got after Patrick Mahomes all night in the Super Bowl, ultimately sealing the Chiefs' fate. And let's not forget, too, when the Chiefs lost to the Bucs, whatever it was, a few years ago, Tom Brady's Super Bowl win with the Bucs. Now, to be fair, the Chiefs had a couple of offensive linemen injured who did not play in that game. I believe it was their tackles. But in that game, Mahomes was running for his life the whole time. And they scored, 3 field goals. They scored 9 points. They couldn't even score a touchdown. You got Patrick Mahomes there, right? And all he did was run for his life, and they couldn't even score a touchdown. That's the power of a good pass rush, right? You get enough guys in there rushing the passer, anybody's mortal. You look at Patrick Mahomes, right? General Manager Joe Schoen seems to agree. We would find a way, he said last week when asked about fitting Carter into Shane Bowen's defense. You've got good football players. You figure it out. But once again, let's not also forget, too, is that if they do got Carter, they got Burns. If they draft Carter, Kayvon is expendable. So that's going to be something very interesting to watch, too, to follow. Because if they don't trade Kayvon in the draft, by May 1st, they have to declare if they're going to pick up his fifth-year option or not. So right after the draft's over, a few days after the draft's over, they got to say we're going to pick up his fifth-year option or not. That'll be very interesting. If they do pick up his fifth-year option, they're going to have some good pass rushers. Let me tell you what. But they're going to start getting pretty expensive though, too. So Giants want to make a statement not just on the field but in the locker room. They draft Carter, the guy who's willing to trade childhood memories, fandom, and a Philly roots for a shot in New York. The guy willing to trade Kelly Green for bluer skies, shall I say. The anti-Saquon is ready. Let's see if the Giants are too. You got that right. Get Carter. Well, I hope they get Carter. That's what I think. I think they're taking Carter. If he's there, you take the guy pretty much as a can't miss prospect, and you add him to your team, right? Yeah, I mean, if the Giants think in the hearts of their hearts, or the bottom of the depths of their heart, and all of that Shedeur Sanders is worth the third overall pick, it don't matter what I think. Doesn't matter what Mel Kiper Jr. Doesn't matter what the Lucky Charms leprechaun thinks. Doesn't Santa Claus thinks. Doesn't matter. If they think that Shedeur Sanders is worth the number 3 overall pick, they go get him. Plain and simple. But what they can't do especially at number 3, is you can't reach. Right? If they don't think he's worth the number 3 overall pick, you got to take the best player available. And it just happens to be that the best player available, quite possibly, is either going to be Hunter or Carter. 2 pretty much can't miss prospects, right? And if nothing else, if they don't get themselves a quarterback in the first round, they added themselves a real good, fantastic player. I mean, just think. I mean, what they've done this season, right? If we don't get rid of Kayvon, if we keep him, right, for this season, right? I mean, we have 3 good edge rushers. I would still love to see him get a defensive tackle, a real good one. Now, one of these guys we got in free agency, got a real good, in the second or third round, good defensive tackle, put next to Sexy Dexy. But I mean, if they get Carter, right, and they got a Debo, a cornerback, and they got Holland at safety, I mean, we really, that's 3 really good players we've added to the defense, right? And let's not forget, the defense had some shaky moments last year, and sometimes their run game defense was not very super spectacular. But how often does the offense help out? I mean, I've said this, I don't know how many times. It's everything's relative. Theory of relativity. Einstein's theory of relativity. Everything is relative. If you got a good offense, obviously a good offense has the strike capability, right? I mean, drop back and you're on 25-yard line, you hit somebody deep down the sideline, he takes it for a touchdown. Cool. Hey, we all love that. But I mean, if you got a good offense that can actually keep the ball, gain some first downs, chew up the clock, where's your defense at? They're on the sideline drinking Kool-Aid. How many yards, how many touchdowns, how many pass completions are they giving up? None. Because why? Because they're on the sideline. Because you got a good offense. Right? I mean, well, look with the Eagles, right? Turn around and hand the ball to Saquon, right? He just runs and runs and runs. Clock keeps tick, 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 tick. Right? The Eagles keep the ball. They move the ball. They score some points. The defense is on the sideline. It's like, wow, the defense don't give up any points. Wow, it's an unbelievable defense. Wow. Well, it's because they're never on the field. If I was on the defense, if we had 11 of me on the Giants defense and I was never on the field, I'm 61. That 61-year-old They got 11 61-year-old guys on the Giants defense. They're the best in football, baby. I haven't given up a point all year. Well, yeah, if I'm not on the field, I'm not giving up any points. But when our offense goes 1, 2, 3 punt, after a while, you're probably going to give up some points if you can't move the ball. We're scoring 15 points a game. So if we ever actually have an offense that can keep the ball for any period of time, right? The defense is on the sideline, right? Resting up, right? And obviously you're not giving up first downs or touchdowns, nothing like that, right? So, but we've really done a good job of adding some, not question, add some good talent to the defense this year. Like I said, the only thing that I'm kind of missing, right, that I would really like would be if they could add a defensive tackle, maybe in the second or third round of the draft, right? Somebody put next to Sexy, especially somebody who can maybe consume some blockers, shall I say, right? Right? Especially in the run game, because even when we had Sexy in there was times we were just getting gashed in the run game, and that's pretty embarrassing. Then I saw this article here: the 3 ways that the Giants can just win the draft, right? And it's we will have to wait and see. But this article here, I want to read this here real fast as we close the show for this evening. 3 ways for the Giants to win the 2025 NFL Draft. This is what Big Blue View. Now, Anthony Del Genio, focus on whom they can get rather than whom they probably can't. All right. We're to the home stretch before the NFL Draft actually occurs, and thank goodness, because the endless speculation is enough to drive any fan crazy. Like last year, the players in New York seem to be just tantalizing out of their reach. Yep. In 2024, it was Jaden Daniels and Drake May, right? And Caleb Williams, right? This year, it seems like Cam Ward and Travis Hunter who are unattainable, though we won't know for sure until Thursday evening. I love both players, and it will pain me to see them come off the boards at number 1 and 2 if that's what happens. I'll console myself, though, and with the knowledge that the guy that they did get at number 6 last year is really, really good. You could argue that he got the second best player in the draft. Oh, absolutely. Oh, Malik, yes. And only that, low, because the quarterback position is so coveted in today's NFL. It's possible the same may happen this year, too. Absolutely. The Giants, it might be possibly the second year in a row the Giants got the second best player in the draft. So, this year's a little different because all the top quarterbacks in the draft are considered not to be as good as any of the 6 taken in round 1 last season. I don't necessarily agree with that. Ward, to my non-expert eye, sits in the middle of last year's top 6. Still, you can't just assume that the board will play out the way you want it to. Instead, I'm going to do 3 mock drafts in which I try to solve the Giants' problems, roster problems anyway, in different ways. All 3 will follow these basic rules. That Cam Ward and Travis Hunter go 1 and 2. For the Giants, though, I try to match value with needs in my choices, assuming that the Giants have 5 needs. The biggest needs are quarterback, interior defensive line, an edge rusher, edge defender, and secondary needs at cornerback, and then, of course, at guard. I try to deal with the 3 biggest needs. It picks 3, 34, and 65. If I can get without reaching, and then I try to address the other 2 needs. It picks 99 and 105. So, they got 5, guard or a tackle, right? Possibly a tackle. Interior defensive line, right? Quarterback. I mean, somebody in the secondary, right? And, you can say an edge defender if they don't plan on keeping Kayvon, right? If they don't want to keep him, right? It would behoove them to take Carter. But the first 3 Giants picks rotate among the 3 positions in my 3 drafts just to show what the possibilities are. No trades are allowed. I just do 4 rounds. I'm not going against trades at all. I'm just trying for this exercise to see how the depth of the draft pool at the positions I'm interested in allows me to fill needs without reaching in different ways. Since we have no idea what Joe Schoen's big board looks like, much less than those of the other 31 teams. Let's see here. Whoops. You may feel that the 5 positions I mentioned are not the Giants' biggest needs. I don't think anyone would argue that a quarterback of the future and another interior defensive lineman aren't huge needs. Yes, they are. To me, edge defender is a need because Kayvon's future as a Giant is uncertain, and you can't have too many pass rushers. And anyway, it's a very deep edge class. So, they could, if they plan on getting rid of Kayvon, they could double dip at edge. But boundary cornerback may not be a need if Tay Banks becomes the player he was drafted to be, or Trey Hawkins III becomes the player he was briefly saw in the Saints game before he got hurt. Barring one of those, though, cornerback 2 is still a big question mark. I assume Drew Phillips at slot corner is a done deal. Absolutely. I don't consider guard an issue for this season. But we got to remember, guard and tackle, if we're not picking up Evan Neal, I can't see why we would possibly want to have Evan Neal at tackle. And Jermaine Illuminor, this is his last season. Now, it doesn't mean we can't re-sign him the next season, right? We can always entertain that, but we don't have we got Andrew Thomas. Can the guy, I take Andrew 10 ways to Tuesday. He can always be on my team. But the guy's getting hurt a lot, right? So we could use a tackle, right? Let's see. I don't consider guard an issue for this season with John Runyon Jr. and Greg Van Roten and maybe Evan Neal holding the fort, but I want a rookie on the roster to be able to fill one of those spots next year. So it'll be very important, I think, for the Giants to take somebody on the interior, the defensive line, and an offensive lineman early in the draft. First three rounds. Right? If you're going to take Carter, you can get maybe yourself a quarterback. Right? Maybe with your second pick, see where it goes. But maybe in the first 105 picks, they got 5 picks. Right? Get yourself offensive lineman, the interior defensive lineman, maybe your quarterback, and get Carter, the edge rusher. Right? So here are my mock drafts. In my discussions, I indicate with a number in parentheses the round in which each player falls relative to the big board that Chris and Nick released yesterday. All right, so I'm going to, let's see here. I can share my screen here. I think we are there, present. Share screen. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. Let me share it here. Show you his mock draft here. Now, this is his first mock draft. This is his first of 3 ways the Giants can win the draft. The don't pass on an elite player draft. Hard to argue with that. Abdul Carter. He's the biggest, he's the most elite player in the draft. And he's still on the board at number 3. You take him. Then according to air, Jalen Milroe's there at 34. He took Jalen Milroe. Then he took Kenneth Grant, a defensive tackle from Michigan. Right, so you got an edge rusher, you got a defensive tackle to put next to Sexy, right? You got the quarterback in the future. And he took Kobe Bryant, cornerback from Kansas, and then he took Miles Frazier, an offensive guard from LSU. That's a fine draft right there. Really good draft right there. I think that's a real good one. That's a real good one. To me, this is the most likely scenario for the Giants. I can't see them passing on elite talent like Carter. He can be part of the edge rotation, also part of the off-ball linebacker rotation. Yeah, he's played off-ball linebacker. He'd be edge rusher. You guy's a freak. Which addresses the objections some people have it using number 3 on what they see as a part-time player. Jalen Milroe in the second round gives them a developmental quarterback with a ton of potential who can sit for a year and develop his short game. That's what he has to work on. Absolutely. Kenneth Grant is a first-round talent who somehow drops to number 65 in this mock. He'd be just the guy to clog the Giants' leaky middle next to Sexy. Kobe Bryant is an aggressive boundary corner whom I may be overdrafting a bit at number 99. And Miles Schrager is a big and physical guard in the run game, less in depth and pass protection. But, okay, so now how the Giants can win the draft in his second mock draft. It's called It's the Quarterback Stupid Draft. It's the quarterback stupid. So they have to take the quarterback, right? So, and number 3, he has taken Shedeur Sanders. Number 34, they got Tyleik Williams, a defensive tackle from Ohio State. Number 65, they got Oladejo, the edge rusher from UCLA. Quincy Riley, a cornerback from Louisville. And Jackson Slater, an offensive guard from Sacramento State. Like many people, I am skeptical that Shedeur Sanders can become a top 10 NFL quarterback, and I think it would be a mistake to draft him as high as number 3. I don't think it would be Daniel Jones all over again, though. Sanders is a very accurate passer who can make all the throws. He just does not have the zip on his deep ball that you'd like him, and sometimes holds the ball too long and causes unnecessary pressure. It's too bad he had such an awful offensive line in front of him. I'd like to know whether he'd have dumped the ball off so much with better protection. Still, take him number 3 in this draft because it's a real possibility the Giants decide to do that, and allows me to explore the implications for filling the other needs in the later rounds. Tyleik Williams doesn't excite me as much as Kenneth Grant, but like Grant, he'll clog the middle while he develops his pass rush. Oladejo is the developmental edge rusher, but with great potential. To be honest, I'm tempted to go with Josiah Stewart here, but PFN has him much further down their big board, seemingly because he's undersized. Quincy Riley is a good coverage corner in both man and zone with good ball skills, but perhaps without the speed to cover deep. And Jackson Slater is a good pass blocking guard who is less refined in the run game. Then his third mock draft here. How the Giants can win in the draft. His third one is the Build the Trenches draft. It all starts in the trenches, right? And of course, it helps if you do have yourself a quarterback, but it all starts in the trenches. If you can win the trenches, boy, you give yourself a big chance, right? Now, this one here, all right, this is, I don't know, passing on Carter to take Graham, but Graham is put Graham next. If you got Kayvon, you got Burns, you got Graham, and you got Sexy Dexy. That's a fab 4 right there, baby. Whew. So he took Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan, at 3. Second round, he took Landon Jackson, the edge rusher from Arkansas. Tyler Shaw, whatever, the quarterback from Louisville, with the first pick in the 3rd round, if he makes it that far. Corey Black, a cornerback from Oklahoma State, and Garrett Dellinger, an offensive guard from LSU. This is probably the least likely scenario to unfold, but if the Giants wanted to follow the Eagles' playbook, they could decide to use their first 2 picks to fill out the defensive line and not take a skill player till round 3. Pick number 3 is pretty high for defensive tackle, but Mason Graham is the consensus defensive tackle number 1 in this draft, and adding edge Landon Jackson at number 34 will give the Giants possibly the best defensive line in the NFL outside of Philadelphia. Is it what I would do if I were Joe Schoen? No, not at least, because they should be able to get a really good defensive tackle at either 34 or number 65, as I did in my other 2 drafts. And Graham is not obviously that much better than the players like Grant or Derek Harmon. Tyler Shaw is a real consideration at number 65, having come out of nowhere during the run up to the draft to enter the day 2 discussion. It's not even certain he'll be there at number 65. Corey Black is a physically gifted corner whose mental game is not yet caught up to his physical gifts. And Garrett Dellinger is a stretch at this point of the draft, but he does have good strength in the run game. And once the first half dozen or so inside offensive linemen are off the board in this inside offensive line weak draft class, yes, it is. Guards and centers, it's not a good class for them. Not at all. Good tackle class, but guards and centers, no. Overall, this draft leaves me with more questions than the other 2. This is clearly my least favorite of the 3 mocks I did. I don't know that there is a single player and it excites me as a slam dunk combination of talent or value where I took them. The first draft is my favorite. I'm very excited to walk away with Carter, Milroe, and Grant. Not as excited as I'd be if Ward or Hunter dropped to number 3. Ooh, man. The bottom line, not surprisingly, most of the attention in this draft for the Giants fans is on the number 3 pick, and that the Giants have no control over who will be available. It's also a draft that is considered weak at quarterback, although some seemingly strong quarterback drafts haven't worked out the way they once began. Giants have made some awful draft picks in the past. You got that right. Never say never given this franchise's recent history, but the odds are that the Giants will come away with at least a couple of really good players at key positions in this draft. They may even become a good team in 2025. Well, I don't know. Well, let's hope. Let's hope. But, yeah, who got? Trading down would be idiotic, but that's the Giants. Well, hey, you never know. You never know. I mean, I hope they don't. I hope they don't. They sit there at number 3 and take the best player available and hope, it's probably either Carter or Hunter. Whichever one of those 2 it is, I take them. And you're often, you're automatically often running on a good draft. Now, what they do the rest of the time, I'll have to wait and see. But the one thing is true, for me anyway, is that, if you take like a can't miss prospect, right? Yeah, it's hard to lose with that. Really hard to lose with that. I mean, if they want to get lucky and they get Hunter, themselves a wide receiver and a cornerback, wow. But I mean, if they do wind up taking Carter at number 3, right, that makes Kayvon expendable. And in the long run, that saved. They might probably get themselves a better edge defender / edge rusher, right, than Kayvon, right? So you'd have Carter and you have Burns. You have one of the best dynamic duos in football. Now, they might keep Kayvon this year. They may not. Who knows? But, I mean, if they do, they'd have 3 really good edge rushers, right? But it would also, also make Kayvon expendable, and they'd save themselves some money in the long run because they don't have to pick up Kayvon's 5th-year option. They don't have to worry about signing him to a long-term contract. They save themselves a lot of money, right? So with less than 24 hours away, guys, I'll be live tomorrow. See how the Giants do in the first in their draft. All excited. Finally, we can get all these mock drafts. You have to worry about them and listen to any stupid mock drafts. That's how I look at it anyway. I'm an old fart, so please forgive me. But we'll have to listen to no more mock drafts for quite a while. Thank God. All right, guys, it's been 1 hour and 38 minutes. Guys, all the comments, thank you so much. Tell you what, guys, it's been a long time since I had that many people, different people, leaving comments. So thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. So whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah.